Hello, everybody. My name is Ruth Samalo, and I'm one of the feature programmers for Talk NYC. And it's my great pleasure to welcome director Maria Finitzo, the director of The Dilemma of Desire. Hello, Maria. Welcome.
Well, welcome. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
So this is I think it's an important film, and in many ways, it's a film about everything because I guess female anatomy or the lack of recognition for or knowledge for female anatomy is linked to so many things that have to do with from philosophy to politics to poetry to sexuality. So tell us a little bit about your process of making this film. Like, what was the origin story of it, and how did you went about collecting the stories from these different women?
So initially, I was interested in making a film that looked at all of the things that got in the way with women having agency over their sexual desire. I had read a book prior to that about the science of female sexual desire, and the upshot of the book was women have as robust a sex drive as men. They're simply told lies about it to reinforce patriarchal structures. And so that was very interesting to me because this was back in, I think, 2013, that idyllic time before where we are now. And I remember thinking, wow, we still don't have the freedom to behave how we want to behave. And so as a filmmaker, I was most interested in taking a deep dive into what all the things are that get in the way of women simply behaving the way the other half of the population behaves and having agency over their desire, whatever that desire is. And so beginning that process, you don't really know what the film's going to be about. It takes a while to figure it out. And it did take a while. And ultimately, the film is really about power and how power is taken when the truth is replaced with a lie, right? So women are lied to about their anatomy, about their desire, about all kinds of things. And so that's really what interested me the most, because when you don't have power, you can't claim your right to anything, right? You're part of the oppressed. And so I really felt that this was an important film, which was at its heart really about our quest for equality.
And some of one of the main characters is the artist Sofia Wallace and her amazing work around the clitorati and the 100 laws of clitoracy. When did you encounter her work, and when did you realize that that was going to help you build some structure in the film?
So I was doing research back in 2013 about how I would make a cinematic exploration of women's sexual desire. I didn't want it to be about porn, but I like, how do you turn this into a movie? And so I found her work on the internet, Cliteracy, the 100 Natural Laws, and I was able to go to New York and meet with her. And I really enjoyed meeting with her. She's an amazing artist, an amazing woman. And we agreed to work together, and I said, okay, it'll take me a while to raise some money, and of course it did. And we didn't actually start filming until 2016. But I think it took a good year and a half before I realized that her 100 laws, right, the 100 natural laws, the Cliteracy, would provide as great a structure for the film as they did. And in the editor and I, Liz Carr, really had to work hard to figure out which laws to choose, what scenes they came after, because they're really like emotional punctuation to what's gone on, or visual punctuation to an emotional scene. So it took a while. This was the hardest film I've ever made, and the hardest film I've ever had to sit down and structure and edit.
And how did you find the other characters? Because we also meet T Chang, the designer of these lovely things that one of them is wearing.
Yeah.
Lisa Diamond, PhD professor of psychology and gender. We have Omnia, with her great story of difficult marriage. We also get to meet Rebecca and Jasmine and Yixin and Koriyama, who is also such a great presence and a great educator in empowerment with one's own body. How did you meet these different characters along the line, and what have you learned together?
So initially, I had also been in touch with Lisa Diamond. So Sofia Wallace and Lisa Diamond were the two, let's call them experts, right? People who work in this space all the time. And when I was working with Sofia, she said I met an amazing woman. She's a professor at Agnes Scott College. Her name is Dr. Stacy Dutton. And so Stacy and I got on a call, and I loved talking to her. She's so smart. So I added Stacy, and I went down to Georgia and filmed with Stacy. And when I got back and we were trying to figure out, okay, what do you have? I had Lisa Diamond, I filmed with Sofia Wallace, I filmed with Stacy Dutton. We decided that it was really important if we found women who were just sort of like all of us, right? Everyday women whose work was not to study sexuality or be an artist about it or any of that, but who were just grappling with all of the things that we deal with in our bodies and our desire. Because the three women at that time that we had chosen, they spoke easily about the body, the clitoris, sexual desire, all of that. But that's not something that in general women can speak about easily. So I had a big meeting at a place, and I reached out to everybody I knew, and I said, please invite anyone you know who you think, either femme identifying or women. It doesn't all, I wanted a very diverse group to see if they'll come to a meeting. And I ended up with about 45 women who came to the meeting. And I showed a little clip of Sofia Wallace in the beginning, kind of showing like Cliteracy, the 100 Natural Laws. And then we started talking, and it was the most amazing conversation I've ever been at, because this was 45 women. None of them knew each other. None of them knew me. And it was one of the women in the room said, I'm so eager to have this conversation. We never get a space to talk about it. So after the meeting, I passed out a form and said, if you want to be considered to be in the film, fill it out and I'll interview you. And so Becca filled it out, and Umnia filled it out, and Nixon or Sunny filled it out, and so did a number of other women. And out of that group, I was able to pick, Jasmine was at the meeting, I picked 4 of them. And then I knew I needed someone like Koriyama, right? I didn't know what her name was, but I knew I needed someone like Koriyama. So I reached out to everybody I knew in the queer community and sex positive community, and several people said, you have to meet Koriyama. So I had to go looking for Koriyama, and I was really glad that I found her, because she was an amazing, amazing contribution to the film. And then, halfway almost to finishing, somebody referred me to T. Chang, the industrial designer, and I got on a call with her. And I loved what she said about the role of industrial design in our lives, and the fact that all of the products we use, if they're beautifully designed, when we use them, we feel really good about ourselves, right? Like our iPhones or whatever else we use, or our Fitbits, whatever it is. And that all of the products that had been designed prior to the recent times for women's pleasure looked like jokes. And there were things that we had to hide under our bed or hide away so that nobody could see them. And so I thought that her view as an industrial designer, and even the way the products that women associate with their desire are sort of shameful, and that her desire to change all that was a really good addition to the film.
Yeah, that's such a great scene when this young woman's like it's hiding in a little bag, like her pleasure
Vibrator.
toy,
Yeah.
with the vibrator. Yeah, I couldn't come up with a name. This is a subconscious for you. And her mom is coming, and she's so upset about it. I was talking to my mom this morning. She's like, "What are you working on today?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm doing a Q&A with a film about the clitoris." And she was like, long silence. So it's still, it's interesting. We're in the 21st century, and we're still not naming names. One of the naming parts of our anatomy or things that happen. One of the things that was really interesting to me was how a lot of women have all these different ways of talking about their period, but not saying they have their period or their menstruation. Like, right. I'm on my flowers, or I'm on my time of the month. Like, what time of the month? What do you mean? Like, there's...
I remember when I was growing up, Gloria Steinem said if men menstruated, if men got their periods, menstruation would be a sacrament. And that's really true, because there would be no shame around it. It would be seen as a way of, which it is, of perpetuating the human race, right? If women didn't menstruate, this would have been a very short story. And, for me, it was we're not allowed to name, I mean, several people in the film said this. Lisa Diamond said this, Sophia Wallace said this. She said it's not allowed for women to name their genitals. You know, men talk about their genitals all the time. They grab them all the time. They brag about them, but that's not allowed for women. And I think that's wrong. I think that's ridiculous. And one of the reasons why I added, or I was able to finally bring in the work of Audre Lorde, the uses of the erotic, because she's talking about a really important, a vital part of our lives as women, as a source of power that is good, right? And that the reason that we don't feel it's good is because men sort of co-opt it for their own use and then make us feel shameful about it because that's the way they want to use it. That's how pornography is born. And so I really, with this film, wanted to get to a point where I would joke that women could use the word clitoris in a complete sentence at least 10 times a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Wouldn't that be nice?
yeah.
So I think that's really one of the most empowering narratives of the film. Do you go from like one's own body as a site for resistance and empowerment, all the way to, you know, like feminism and the marches, you know, after the Donald Trump, you know, presidency, and how, I mean, there is something that I don't know if you feel this is true or not, but like me having been a feminist and being a woman of the 21st century, I still crave that sisterhood. I still crave those spaces where these things are talked about. And I don't know, do you feel that that this is not news for a lot of people, or do you think that we need this film now more than ever, because we're like also in a society that is very restrictive and, you know, devil morality and all of this?
Oh, I think we need this film now more than ever. And I thought we needed this film now more than ever before Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. And now I'm actually sort of terrified because the person that Donald Trump has put up for the Supreme Court justice is a woman who believes that women should be subservient to their husbands and shouldn't work. And that's getting really close to the Handmaid's Tale. And it's not a joke. And so I am appalled that in this day and age, women, the power to shame someone is, it's a horrible power, and it's how you keep people under your thumb. And so as long as women are made to feel ashamed of their bodies, of their desire, of their ability to be arousing as human beings, then that's a way of keeping us controlled. Whereas that's ridiculous, because here we are, it's the most intimate aspect of ourselves as human beings, and we're not allowed to talk about it or express it. And I think this film is more important now than ever.
Just to finish, I wanted to ask you and give her a shout out because she's a good friend. Cynthia was the producer. Cynthia Kane was the first person that talked to me about this film a few years ago, and you know, she was really excited about making this film with another woman, with you. And can you tell us a little bit about collaborating with all these great, you know, women that you did?
Yeah, it was really wonderful working on the film. From the beginning, I wanted a team of women, and I was able to do that. But Cynthia was the first person to come on the film, and we'd known each other a little bit. We worked together on an Al Jazeera project called Hard Earned. And, you know, when you're starting a film, when you're trying to get a film going, having someone there who believes in the film as well is a really vital piece of emotional support that you need, because you run into a lot of roadblocks all the time. And when that happens, it's very disheartening. So she was, you know, the soulmate that kept me going when I would be so down, because we had a hard time funding the film. And it was really great to work with her. You know, we went to the Women's March together. I filmed with her in New York. We filmed in Berlin. We didn't end up using it in the film, but we went to Berlin. And so it was really wonderful to collaborate with her. And she's so knowledgeable about everything, and just has a really great network of people that she knows in the film business who think highly of her, and that then, you know, she would introduce me to. So it was really a wonderful collaboration.
I'm really glad that also I get to see some of the fruits of your sisterhood. Thank you so much for this super important film, and thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank you very much.